Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to our Thursday show, our Veterans Day. Good morning, Jill.
Good morning, Dr. Laurie. How are you?
I'm doing great. And we're here coming to you on the Today Show, broadcasting from the Disability Channel. And every Thursday, we feature something about our veterans, Jill and I. We co-host, and sometimes we have a guest, and sometimes we don't. We are expecting a guest today if she's able to be here. So we'll bring her on if she arrives. But in the meantime, I told Jill, have you and I ever been short of anything to talk about?
Oh, never. We are just so interesting.
Yeah, exactly. So I see our guest has arrived, so we'll just do a bit of an opener and then I'll bring Marie in.
Sure.
But anyway, so you had a fun night last night. What were you doing out on the town?
Oh my goodness. I went to a toast to Ted Byfield, and it was a last minute invitation. I didn't know who he was, but
No.
he was the creator of the Alberta Report.
Oh, wow.
And he passed away at the age of 93 in 2021. And his son, Vincent, was the MC. And there was a choir, there was a piper. The room was packed at the Edmonton Convention Center. Premier Daniel Smith was there, Preston Manning, Stockwell Day, former Prime Minister Stephen Harper came in on video. All these wonderful tributes, and I met some fantastic people. And, he was considered, Prairie Lion is his bio. And this was written by Jonathan Van Maren, and he was there to speak as well. Some real solid people honoring an amazing Canadian. And I was so privileged to be there.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Yes, so.
Over 500 people, and it was a fundraiser because they're putting the textbooks in schools for education, for history, Canadian history, and so on. And Ted Byfield, he created schools for children, special schools. For example, I met an Indigenous man, Donald Morin, singer-songwriter, filmmaker, actor. He was a 60s scoop, and he was in 14 foster homes by the age of 4 until he was adopted by a family, and he went to St. John's schools. And I want to do some research on that. But Ted Byfield was an amazing man, and I had no idea.
I never heard of him. There you go.
Right? So now I have some reading to do, but I've, there are some amazing people out there doing wonderful things in their communities. And the people who supported him donated hundreds of thousands of dollars for his programs.
Wow.
Local people.
Wow.
Local people.
Wow.
So what a privilege to be there. Yeah.
Now I see Marie is here, but I don't see her. Let me see.
Okay. Maybe she's trying to get her camera going.
There she is.
There she is. Hi, Marie.
There she is. All right.
All right. Hey, people keep moving my camera or my computer around, so they're better now.
So may I do a little bit of background, Marie?
Yes.
Yes. So the veterans. So yes, Marie, Dr. Laurie, Marie. Marie is coming to us from Calgary, from the Veteran Association Food Bank. Now I know it's had different titles, but people know it as the Veteran Association Food Bank, VAFB. Marie is the founder, and it's been operating for a few years now. I'll let her get into the history of it, but I consider Marie Blackburn the Mother Teresa of Alberta. Or actually Canada, because she helps veterans across the country. And I've reached out to her to help out veterans in different provinces, and she's always come through, always. She never says no. She says, we'll find a way. So Marie, thank you for joining us today. We want to shine a spotlight on your organization and what you do. And so welcome to the Today Show, Marie.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Marie, could I ask, are you on a laptop?
No, on my computer at work. I forgot my laptop at home because I couldn't find my keys and I was all stressed out. So.
Oh, okay. No worries. Yeah, well, good morning to you, and thank you for being here. Whoops, there we go.
There we go.
There.
Yeah.
That's a lot better. Yeah. So I guess my first question is, what inspired you to start the organization? What was it that
Um,
was that magic moment when you went, okay, enough, I'm doing this?
well, my dad was a Korean War veteran. So we're still alive, but he was considered a severely disabled veteran through Veterans Affairs. So I had seen his struggles his whole entire life. He worked at the Colonel Belcher, and I would visit him, and I would see all the people that were struggling. And it always just was one of those things I had to do, but I just never fell into the right spot. And then I started volunteering with the Field of Crosses, and he said, "You are such a good worker." He said, "Do you think you could come and work for me?" And I said, "All right." So it was the lowest paying job I ever had in my life, I think, but I was the happiest I'd ever been in my life. So I stayed there for 7.5 years. And then they just shut the doors. And I said, "Well, what about the veterans?" And they said, "Well, they'll find resources elsewhere." And I knew that wasn't true. I'd seen these people day in and day out.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that that was not the answer. So I kind of drank some wine and I kind of thought about
Mm-hmm.
it. And I drank some more. And then I'm like, just
Mm-hmm.
do it. Like, what else? You have nothing to lose. Like, so I only had about $10,000 in the bank that I could put forward. But everybody that I met, like the lawyer, said, "We'll do this for you for free because you're doing the right thing." The landlord gave us 3 months free rent. Like, it was everybody was just pitching in. And then my first week, I had like one bag of groceries and no money. And I thought, have I done the right thing? So this, I don't know, this guy came in one day and he said, "What is it you need?" And I said, "I need people to know who we are. I need people to help me." And the very next day, all the media people came in, and within I think it was 10 days, we had raised $150,000 and we were well on our way. So,
Oh, wow.
and it has just grown since then. It's Calgary now. We started off in one little tiny bay. We now have 4 bays. We have Edmonton, Grand Prairie, Lethbridge, Edmonton, and we're now moving into BC, Manitoba, and Saskatchewan.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
I know. It's crazy.
that's incredible. And
Oh,
you have a whole host of volunteers in all these locations as well.
it's just, like I said to somebody the other day, I came from a family of 3, but now I have this family of 50,000 plus because everybody is there to help each other.
Mhm.
And, when people say, what is the success of how you do this? It's just because this belongs to veterans. This belongs to them. And when you have pride and ownership in something, you tend to nurture it and make it want to grow. So that's kind of how I got started and how we kind of support the program right now.
Wow. Wow.
And how many years has it been up and running now, Marie?
September 5th was our 6-year anniversary. It's just flown by. So,
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
yeah.
Wow. So let's talk about, the services. What is it that you provide?
So we did start off as a food bank. That was sort of critical. But then you kind of start thinking, yeah, it's great to give them food, but have they paid their utilities to make sure they can cook that food? Do they have a roof over their head, or are they, at risk of losing that as well? So we started the emergency funding program. So that literally covers everything from your rent. If you need $20 for gas for your car to make sure you get back to work, anything, any bill that you and I would have, insurance, whatever, we cover all of that. Our mission statement is simple: is to prevent homelessness, hunger, isolation, and ultimately veteran suicide. So we've always thought if you can take care of those first 3 and get somebody to a stable spot, um, then you give them hope. Like I had one day this, it was really, really hot in here. The air conditioning had break down. I just wanted to go home and sit on my patio with something cold and get away from the heat. And this gentleman came and tapped me on the shoulder, and I said, "What is it you need?" And he said, "Well, I just need some help." And I'm like, "I just want to go home." It's been a long day.
Yes.
Anyhow, I came in and he was, facing divorce with his wife because he couldn't support the family and he hadn't filled out his Veterans Affairs paperwork. And so we paid all his bills that day, gave him some food, and then we got him in the next day to fill out all his VAC paperwork, which in turn down the road, he's now living comfortably.
Mhm.
But I ran into him he was in the military pipe or the Navy pipe band. And I ran into him about a year later and he he thanked me for helping him. And he said, "Did you notice I sat in the parking lot all day?" And I said, "I did." And he said, "Well, I was sitting there getting the courage to come in." He said, "Had you said no," he said, "I had a Glock underneath the seat of my car, and that would have been my last day." So we hear stories like that all the time. So that emergency funding program is so critical, just doing all those wraparound services. And then we have our Pet Promise program. We realized how critical that was for our veterans. We had a veteran that asked me to give his dog a haircut, and I'm like, "Oh, no, that's not a good idea."
It's mainly, it covers veterinary services. Is that correct?
Everything, yeah. And it's just when he said he couldn't afford to take his dog to the groomer, I just saw this horrible look on his face that everybody must have thought he was the worst pet owner because he couldn't provide the basic necessities. So we started the Pet Promise program, and it covers everything, like from like euthanizations to surgeries to teeth cleaning, whatever you need, whatever your little dog or cat needs, and we cover all those costs. And then we do like taxes, and people say, "Well, why would you do their taxes?" Well, many of our veterans haven't done their taxes, and by doing their taxes, that gives them like the government money for subsidies or energy rebates or whatever. So then that can bring extra money into the family. We do estates and wills because a lot of our veterans, like there's so many that have nobody. And when they pass, we don't know what to do with them. So at one time I had 4 of them on my desk. 3 I found homes for them, and the last one I took fishing with me. So he's in a lake now and he's happy. But those things are critical. Like I think a lot of people forget that this is a full project. It's not just food, and it's not just paying one bill. It's about that wraparound service that they need all the way till the very end. And then we have a thrift store.
Oh, yes.
So 3 years ago, I told my board I wanted a thrift store, and they're like, "You're crazy." And I'm like, "Well, I'm not."
It's at the Calgary location, though, yes?
That's only the Calgary location. But ultimately what happened there was it was nice that we could put veterans back to work. So we now have 9 veterans that work there and 3 wives of veterans whose husbands couldn't support them anyway. So the big part of that thrift store too is anything that like a veteran is transitioning from one place to another. Those furniture costs are astronomical if you were to go buy new furniture. And Veterans Affairs is very good at giving you the first and last month's rent, but they provide you with no furniture. So any veteran that needs to be rehomed or resituated, anything they can use from the thrift store is free of charge. And it also, we would buy like new bedding and towels and stuff like that. So I think we have 39 veterans now that have benefited from the thrift store and the
for rehoming, relocating.
Exactly.
Nice.
Yeah, so it's good that way, and it's a good way to build the community. We do Red Friday, a 50% off Red Friday sale every day or every Friday. And people will ask, "Why is that?" And that is such an important tool to teach people what that means. So now we have a Red Friday t-shirt, and a lot of our regular clients now come in with the Red Friday t-shirt. So it's a really good educational piece as well.
Right, and the red represents remember everyone deployed.
That's right.
Right. Okay. Wow. And you have staff, of course, I imagine.
We do. When we first started, we had there was only about 4 of us, and the 4 of us are still here to this day. And we all took 2 years of no pay just to get this up and running. And so now we have 21 staff members across the province and a lot of volunteers. So we're doing good. And out of that 21, I think 18 are veterans or spouses of veterans. And then the other, I think there's 3 of us that aren't veterans, but we are family members of veterans.
Well, I know I've benefited from the location here in Edmonton. You know, just having the facility in Edmonton. I go once a month now to do a writer's workshop that is sponsored by Veterans Affairs, and it's a hub now. It's almost like a gathering place, like a clubhouse, like a clubhouse.
It is, and like I've had many veterans say, "I don't know what I'd do if I didn't have this place." So we have done a Thursday dinner every single Thursday except one for 6 years. I usually cook, but now I'm teaching them how to cook. are having some issues with how to chop things, but it's just about getting them involved. It's about giving them that sense of pride and purpose again, right? And I think for so many of our military people, that's what they did. They served. And then they get out and it's like, what do I do now? So this gives them the perfect opportunity to engage in the community and get involved in other things. So,
Mhm.
And I know
You-
some of these fellas love zipping around the warehouse with that forklift.
oh, I know.
It's like they're back at work again, and the camaraderie and the banter.
And that's exactly it. It's like, I sometimes, like, we call it the coffee table, but I sometimes overhear some of those conversations and it's sad. Like, I'm like, how do you just get out of bed? Like, how do you function every day? And then I had one that used to come in all the day, crabby as could be. And I said to him, why do you come here if you're so miserable? And he said, you guys speak the language. And that's exactly what it's about. Like, they have a uniqueness that none of us will ever understand. They have a bond that's stronger than anything we'll ever go through. And they get each other's quirkiness and hurts and pains and everything else. So that's why this place and Edmonton, well, all of the places are so important to give veterans a place to be.
Yes.
All right. Well, we're going to take a little 30-second break. Get your breath, because I just want to hear more and more and more. The more you talk, the more I want to know, Marie. I'm telling you. It's awesome.
I'm going to have some coffee now.
Yeah, go grab it. Okay, 30 seconds.
Okay.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, your host for the Today Show. And on Thursday, we feature specialized communities, particularly our veteran community. And we were wanting to include other communities like our Indigenous community, the disabled community. And it was so broad, we've now expanded. And on Thursdays, we do a totally separate show, our VIP show, Voices of Indigenous People. So that's how big we are about featuring our special communities, people that we need. We want to create a platform where they can come and be highlighted. So welcome, Marie, our guest today, Marie Blackburn, the founder of the Veterans Association. Wait a minute, did I write it down properly? What's the right name, Jill?
Well, the Veterans Association Food Bank is
Yes.
the original.
Right.
But Marie, so is it the Veterans Association, because it does more than just food?
Yes, exactly. So we slowly transitioned out of the food bank side of things because we found that some of our veterans and like a lot of normal people, other people,
Mhm.
as soon as you say food bank, it puts you in that sense that I don't really want to ask for food. So if it's
Right.
just the Veterans Association, or you want to
It's
come
a
and check it
service
out, and it's like,
provider.
oh, they have a food bank.
Mhm.
Oh, they have evac, those kind of things. So we just really got away from the food bank side of things so that people would understand there was a lot more to it.
Mhm.
I love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, because there's a sense of, when you're going through a crisis, it's like a house on fire, right? And sometimes it was shared with me by another client a couple of weeks ago. And she said, when people are in crises or there's a community going through a crisis, it's like it's on fire. And people are busy saying, well, what do you need? What do you need? Well, when I'm on fire, I don't even know what I need. So to have those wraparound services and that broader spectrum helps me while I'm on fire to maintain my dignity.
Yes.
Right.
And that's the biggest thing is that we tell them, you leave your pride outside and we'll leave our judgment alongside that. So
Oh, I
just
love
getting
that.
them in the door,
Mhm.
so that's one of the nice things about our Thursday dinner. It's kind of like a sneaky way to come in and find out what we do without actually coming in and asking for help.
Right.
So when they come in, they'll talk to another veteran, and then that veteran will say, well, go talk to Marie or one of the other guys, and they'll help you. but they would never have that courage just to come in on their own and say, I need help. So
No, no. And that's because we're on fire.
that's great. So we,
I love that analogy. When I'm on fire, what I need is a fire hose. Like,
Yeah.
put out the fire, and then maybe I can figure some things out, right?
Mhm.
yeah,
Excellent.
I remember the first time I toured your facility back in 2020, Marie, when we first met in person.
yeah,
I was just so excited, and it was a flurry of activity because you had renovations going on. They were expanding. And I went to the back warehouse, and somebody had gone around the city with their van and collected food from the donation bins that you've set up across the city in the region. And the guys were ready to, okay, back up the van and pop the hatch. All right, folks, bring the pallet over and let's load her up. And we'll unload the van and load up the food warehouse.
Yeah.
And it's a real operation that you've got going. It's fantastic.
it is. Yeah. It's,
And you do. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Marie. Go ahead.
it is 99% community driven. It's not, I'm not saying anything bad about the government, but we, up until this year, have had zero federal funding and zero provincial funding. So, with that being said, we've had to work our little fannies off to go to events almost every weekend, make those connections with other and we don't even get a lot of corporation money either. But we did sort of an analysis on our funding last year, and 86% of it comes from individual donors doing $20, $100 kind of thing. So we don't get, we have some that do bigger sponsorships, but this is just individual people. And then we had, when you go to the grocery store and they say, would you like to donate $1? Well, 96,000 people donated $1. So that's kind of gives you a sense of where funding comes in.
Mm-hmm.
As we've grown now, we're getting bigger. People are recognizing us now and understand what we need. Just hold it. And we just need to keep going to work with bigger corporations that will be supporting us down the road, because it's, as you can see, the economy has been so difficult on people that $20 that we used to get is a struggle for a lot of people now to give us that $20. So, but it's pretty impressive that our community has such heartfelt feelings for our veterans that they want to contribute and help. So we're pretty fortunate.
Wow. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So, in a way, and I don't mean to be disrespectful either when it comes to the government, but at least this way you maintain a sense of autonomy and independence.
Yes. So
and
we
you're
did.
not under the guise of, funding.
It's very true. So we are not really, they haven't really announced it, but they've helped us out this year so we can start helping. So we have a lot of homeless veterans, but in my opinion, you can't just pluck them off the street unless you have all those services to support them. So if they have drug and alcohol issues, do we have the treatment facilities to put them in? Do we have the psychological help? Do we have the housing? Well, no, we don't.
Mm-hmm.
So we support the homeless veterans in a different way by providing gift bags or gift cards or whatever they need living on the streets. But my biggest thing was, let's stop the cycle of homelessness. So we applied for this grant and we asked that they start paying 70% of, do a split. So we can now subsidize their rents, which is good. So in our city right now, the rents have gone through the ceiling.
Mm-hmm.
So I can tell you that we have 37 veterans from September till the end of June that would have been homeless had we not prevented that. And out of those 37, there was only there was 35 of them that were just everyday people that didn't have drug and alcohol issues, but they were just uprooted from this life.
Whoa.
Now it's my understanding now that Veterans Affairs won't cover those hotel stays like we do, that they want them to go to a shelter. So I think that's the most undignified thing that could ever happen to a veteran, especially when you've just been living your life normally and you get thrown into the mix of life because your rent has become so expensive that you can't afford it. So we now can help them pay that rent. Like even with the food, had a lot of people say, well, without that food, I wouldn't be able to afford my rent. And that's the biggest thing now is let's just stop letting these guys end up on the street.
Mhm.
Like I had one in the hospital the other day, and she called and said, is there anything you could do to help? And I said, well, yes, of course, we'll put him in a hotel. I said, just out of curiosity, what would you have done with him if you didn't have me? And she said, we'd give him a bus ticket to the shelter. So that's what's happening.
Oh, wow.
In shelters now, as opposed to living in a hotel till we can rehome them.
Mhm.
But even when we get to the point of rehoming them, it's usually about a 3-month process by the time if you have to fill out paperwork and wait for subsidized housing, which never happens. But once you get them, like for 3 months, you're looking at almost $10,000 in hotel stays. And then you have to, once we find them a place, it's rent and damage deposit, food, clothing, whatever they can't get from the thrift store. So you're looking at between $10,000 and $12,000 per person that we've prevented from becoming homeless. But then you look at the other scope of it. If they become homeless, I think the most important thing that matters is there's no price on dignity.
Mhm.
Right.
If you end up in that shelter, it's just horrifying. And then you slip further in, and then it's harder for people to recover them and get them back to a stabilized environment again. So that's our biggest initiative right now, is just preventing this homelessness and trying to find them places to live. That's the other cruncher. There's nothing cheap in the city at all, but we're
Mhm.
getting there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And the key word being dignity. That's huge.
Yes, that's everything.
Yes.
We had a
It's my
veteran
top
one
word.
time. He was living in the back of a McDonald's, and they would give him food if he took the garbage out. And then somebody referred him to us, and we put him in Homes for Heroes. That's where
Mhm.
we send some of our people. And I remember the worker saying, he's like, he's just going to die. And I said, yeah, but he's going to die with dignity. He's not going to die behind a dumpster. And that, I don't know if that means a lot to everybody, but it means everything to us. Like till
Mhm.
the very end, whatever your life is, like I said to you, we don't judge anybody. Like we don't care what your circumstances are. We don't care
Mhm.
what you think you have let your life go to. We are just here to help heal you and get you to a better place.
Right. And to remind our viewers, these are veterans. These are people who served our country
That's right.
and signed the dotted line to you know be prepared to pay the ultimate sacrifice for Canada.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Oh,
it's
it's
been,
heartbreaking.
yeah, it's I think though that with our organization and quite a few of the other organizations we've connected with now, I think before it was just this whole mix mash of people, everybody trying to help, but nobody connected. So now that we've sort of started our organization, we do have people that want to connect with us, like the Military Family Resource Center, Homes for Heroes, even Veterans Affairs is becoming more involved with us. And Veterans Affairs can only do so much too. Like their mandate is that we support our military veterans that were injured during service. A lot of them weren't injured during service. So what do you do then? So, but they will call us frequently and say, this is not part of our mandate. Can you help? So without Veterans Affairs doing their part, these people would have nothing. They wouldn't get the help they need. So we're getting better at building those bridges between different government organizations and private individuals that can help us get our veterans to the best place we can.
Because
Mhm.
your boots on the ground. Veterans Affairs is providing basically funding,
Yeah.
but you are the boots on the ground to help people,
Yes.
literally.
Yeah.
Front line.
Yes.
Yeah. But just having this place that they can come to is just the best way to do it. Like the Legion was good too. I'm not saying anything bad about the Legion, but we have a lot of recovering alcoholics because of their military service or whatever. And going into a Legion is not where they want to be. So where do you go to find that camaraderie? Where do you go to volunteer time? Where do you go to serve? There's just not a lot of places out there. But having our little hub here, it really helps our veterans.
Are you able to give out a physical address where you're located?
Yes.
Okay, and I'll put it up on a banner so that it's recorded on the show. So go ahead and I'll text it in.
So for the Calgary, it's number 10,
Mhm.
820 28th Street Northeast.
Just a second now.
Oh, that's okay.
10, 820.
28th Street Northeast, Calgary.
I'd like to hear a little bit about your facility. What does it look like? Like, what does it include? You have office space, obviously, and
So we
sounds
have,
like you have a warehouse.
yeah, we have 2 warehouses that are connected, and then the whole front area is open. So it was really important for me to make sure that when a veteran walks in, that we don't put them in a box. We just got them out of that box. So when they come in, there's 5 desks, and all of us sit here, and they can come and talk to any one of us. And then if there's anything that needs to be private, then we can go to a different office. And then we've got our food store, and then we have our food storage, and we have our thrift store sorting bay, and then we have a lounge upstairs. The lounge we use for training, and sometimes if a veteran just wants to go up there and do paperwork by himself or just have quiet time, that's always an option. It was kind of designed that if the Flames ever were in the playoffs, we would use that lounge, but we haven't used it for that at all. It sucks, but yeah, we just wanted to make it more of a community space for people. We've now taken over the bay next door, so we have an acupuncturist that comes 2 days a week. She is literally changing the lives of so many of our veterans, ones that have PTSD or injuries or sleep problems or whatever, smoking. And she's fully booked every single Tuesday and Thursday. So we've now taken the space next door where she will have an office where she can run her business. And then we have another office right next door that is going to be for the foot clinic, the hairdresser, the dentist, and the massage person. So they'll all just share that office, and then we'll run these events once or twice a month, depending on how many people need that service. And then the middle of the warehouse, and this has been, Jill will probably start crying when I tell her what I'm doing with this, but it has been super, super important for us to start reaching into the music and arts world. So the middle of that bay, we've applied for funding through many different avenues to turn it into an actual music studio. So we'll have a recording studio, we'll have a songwriter's lounge, and there'll be TVs all throughout this thing. So it doesn't matter where you are in the world. If you want to zoom in for a music lesson with other veterans, then that will be something that we can facilitate.
Oh, I can't wait.
Wow.
I might have to come to visit you in Calgary for the launch.
Well, so that's a super important part of what we want to structure into it. And then we'll have yoga in there when they're not using the music studio. And yeah, and then we of course have our thrift store, and we have our outreach program where the guys are constantly reaching out to people. We have home visits that go out and help people out. So it's kind of all that stuff.
Well, let's talk about Marie for a few minutes. And when do you get to sleep?
I don't. I don't.
Right?
Somebody said the other day, you need to take a holiday. And I'm like, this is my holiday because I love my job. I don't have an issue coming here. I've worked in many different classes of work over the years where you're making money for somebody else, or you're always at someone else's beck and call. And I just want them to be at my beck and call now. I want them to know that they have somebody they can trust, somebody that they can rely on, and somebody that ultimately will save their life. And I know that for some of the, like one of our veterans here that's our outreach worker, when you hear them give a speech about how this place changed their life, how they wouldn't be here today, that's what makes me happy. That's where my world flourishes, and that's what I think I was just dropped on here like from the heavens or something, because I finally feel at peace with myself on every level. I don't have any regrets. It's not about the money. It's not about anything. It's just about getting your butt to work every day, and every day is going to be different. Every person that walks through that door is going to be different, and you just have to do your job. And that's me. And then when I have my spare time, I have a dog named Turtle, She's here every day. She's the love of my life. And I have a cat. He's the love of my life too. And I have 2 grandkids and a son. So when I do get my free time, my son lives in the mountains, so that's just perfect. So I drive down there. We go quadding and snowmobiling or whatever the case may be. But yeah, I just have a simple little life. It's nothing too extravagant, and I just like what I do.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I'm in the same boat.
Yeah.
And I've been doing what I do for, I don't know, decades now. And Jill was introduced to me by another fellow veteran. And so it just grew from there, the relationship. And, I'm pretty proud of what we've done too. And so I'm connecting with you on many levels. I had a client who needed an evening appointment, and I said, no problem. I work weekends, I work evenings. It's 24/7. If you need the support, then we're here. So we've developed, I developed, a series of educational workshops for adults, youth, and young children. And we've been working with that for 32 years. And it's all about building confidence and empowerment and communication skills. So I can relate to you, Marie, totally. And my life is simple. I have a husband who's retired now, and my dog. So what's with the dogs, girlfriends?
Right? Mine is right here sleeping in her little bed.
Yeah. And I don't know about your dogs, but my dog thinks he's a person.
So does Willow.
Yeah. A human.
And that is like, we're totally dog friendly here. You can bring your dog in anytime. And it's so important for these guys and girls to be able to have a space where them as a family unit feel welcome, right? Because there's so many places. And whether it's a service dog or not, that dog is your world. And that's why it was so critical that we started that Pet Promise program. So, in our first 6 months, we spent $44,000. And then we do this purple poppy every year. So this started off really simple. It was, I had made a purple poppy for my dog to go to doggy daycare. And then the ladies at doggy daycare said, well, how come we don't get a purple poppy? I'm like, oh my God. So I crocheted 72 poppies that night. And I had them sitting on my desk. And Gil Tucker from one of our TV stations came in. He said, what's with the purple poppy? And I said, it represents all the animals that lost their lives in service as well, and the ones that are still serving. So he said, can I go to the doggy daycare and film all these people, all these dogs? I'm like, fill your boots. So he did. And then it went on the news that night, and it just exploded. We had people from Belgium, Germany, New Zealand asking for one of our purple poppies. So the next year we started, I have to say this right, we started the Purple Poppy Pizza Party for pups.
Say that 3 times fast.
So anyhow, what happens then is all these women come in, or men if they want, and they crochet poppies. And then we have the veteran and their story. So somebody like Ryan, who works here, he had a cat. And he said when he met his wife, he said, the cat goes. And she goes, no, you'll go before the cat. So he had no choice but to love this cat. And after about 10 years, this cat was his whole entire life. Like when he was struggling with PTSD, this cat automatically knew that, oh, I better go save my friend Ryan. So we do these cards with the veteran stories on it, and then we attach the purple poppy, and we take them to all of our events, and people absolutely love them. So we usually do that for the month of October, not to take away from Remembrance Day in November. But this year, PetSmart and Petland have called us and said, can we distribute your poppies in our stores? Which is exciting. So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, and it just raises money for the Pet Promise program. And then in February, we do what's called Vets for Pets. So I've always been a firm believer, if you're blessed with people giving you things and money and helping support you, that we as a community of, I'm not saying me as a veteran, but the veteran community that I work with needs to give back to our community. So we do Vets for Pets, and we do the Purple Poppy, and then 50% of the sales every Friday. And then we do gift baskets and draws and stuff. All that money, I think this year we raised $10,000, and then the veterans pick which charities they want to give it to. So it's their way of giving back to the community. So
oh wow,
that's our super fun event that we do every year. So
Mhm.
It's it's incredible how much support we get. And then Spruce Meadows last year they had purple poppies on all their horses, and so
Oh,
we have to do like every year we have to get more people involved to do more crocheting because I just don't have time to crochet that many poppies anymore. But yeah, so it's a fun program and it really supports our veterans and their pets. So
Oh,
well,
wow.
next time you're in Edmonton, you'll have to show me the pattern.
Yeah,
I
same
I have a
here.
I have a crochet hook. I have a
I know how
crochet
to
set.
crochet.
do
Yeah.
you send you guys
Yes.
the pattern?
Yeah, and what color purple? You know, there's so many different shades. So,
Well, we buy like we give you the whole little information package of what
oh,
size
okay.
hook, what kind of wool we use. It's all available at Michael's, and the purples that you can use. Like there's one that almost looks black, and we don't like people using that one. But
Mhm.
yeah, so that's our. I think we'll be distributing a lot of purple poppies this year.
Because I could be doing that while I'm watching television.
You
Right,
could be, yes,
Right?
right. Huh?
Winter project. I love it.
it
I would
is.
do
Yeah.
that. Yes.
Well, yeah, it'd be good.
I just want to make sure that our audience knows that the Veteran Association is in fact a registered Canadian charity,
Yeah.
Mhm,
and any donations that are made, that you will get a tax receipt for.
mhm. And how do we donate? Do we just go to the website?
So we just updated our website because it was not well, but it's all at this Friday it'll be launched. So all of your links, everything in there are easy to follow, and you just go onto the website and make your donation. Or if you want to host a food drive, um, like food is well what we do, but it's hard. It's getting harder for people to donate. Like
Mhm.
it's the case of soup. We now see people taking 4 or 5 soup out of that case, whereas before you used to get the whole case. So doing food drives is a great way to educate people, especially your schools. Like let's get those food boxes into schools.
Mhm.
Let's start getting the kids knowing what this is all about. I was at an event on Saturday, and this little guy said, "Who's Hitler?" And I'm like, "Huh?" Because he had no idea.
Mhm.
But when you look at that one word, that's how history was changed with our veterans. So us getting into schools and talking about this, we're going to have a little competition in Calgary between 8 schools. Whoever brings in the most food per capita will get to have lunch with the veterans and ask their stories and whatever, and then spend the day putting all their groceries away that they donated. But it's so critically important that we start educating these kids. Like without,
Oh, yeah, definitely.
so I kind of look at it this way. Like, and I tell the guys here, we're sort of in a super critical spot right now. All of our old folks are not going to be on those TV screens for Remembrance Day. And that's what people associate veterans with. Like we have veterans at the age of 21. These
Mhm.
people, and people don't recognize them as veterans. So I say our group right now, you have to do everything in your power to protect that remembrance of all of the ones before you. You're in that middle group right now where you're going to be aging out and you're going to need resources. And as a veteran, you should be very proud that you're going to be leaving a legacy for your younger veterans that aren't going to get the supports from the government and the legions or some other organizations. So you need to remember that you are the focal point right now of the keepers of remembrance and making sure that none of this is forgotten. And it's so easy to happen. And it felt like through COVID, it wasn't, um, it wasn't, what's the word? It wasn't like they made sure that no one was getting to Remembrance Day services, but it wasn't promoted either. And so a
Mhm.
lot of people stepped away from remembering. A lot of people didn't go to things. A lot of people still don't go to things because of that fear.
Mhm.
But this is why, as veterans, Jill, your age and whatever, that we really, really focus on making sure that we are continuing to make sure our veterans get everything they need, including the remembrance of their service.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Because I've benefited from the food bank, the Veteran Association here in Edmonton. And I've benefited from your support as well, Marie, your encouragement for me and in my professional development. You've helped me along the last 3 years since I moved back to Alberta. So I want to personally thank you.
You're very welcome. And by the way, I'm not taking any dogs under the age of 10 on any more trips.
Well, can I share the story, Marie?
Share the story, yes.
There was a veteran who was visiting from Ontario in Alberta, and she had to be medevaced back to Ontario. That's the understanding I have of the story. But her service dog cannot fly. And it's less than 2 years old, this service dog. And so a friend of ours, Bill, reached out. He's a veteran as well. He's here in Edmonton. And the dog needed to get back to Ottawa, Ontario.
Oh.
So Bill was going to be driving east. So he contacted me. He said, Jill, who do you know in Calgary? I can take the dog back to this female veteran in Ontario, but I need to get the dog from Calgary, and my truck's in for service, and I don't have a vehicle. And I said, phone Marie. She'll know somebody who can help at the food bank. Well, Marie didn't delegate. Marie said, I'll go get the dog from the SPCA, and I will drive the dog to Bill in Edmonton. And the dog was reunited with its veteran 3 days ago. So boom,
Wow.
boom, boom.
I mean,
Give lady,
my dog's name is Turtle, and she's exactly that. She's slow and easygoing. And this little 1.5-year-old blue heeler was an eye opener. It was
Norden was
never
his name.
get a puppy again.
Oh, wow.
But this is how this fabric works. It's like everybody's interwoven somehow, some way. And if we can all just like put aside ourselves for a few minutes and just help, that's all you have to do. It's not that difficult. But I find the veteran community, if somebody needs something, there's always somebody stepping up to the plate. So I'm just happy that I'm a part of that.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Dr. Laura, the other night you had a workshop on prosperity, and you asked us, what is the definition of philanthropy?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
here she is.
There she is, right there. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, for sure. Well, I believe that we're all philanthropists if we have a heart for people and we're busy helping others.
Yeah.
That's what being a philanthropist is. And it doesn't always have to be money. It could be your time. It could be your energy. It could be your joke, your sense of humor, your smile. These are all philanthropic efforts.
It's just about putting a little bit in each day. Like my daughter-in-law said to me, she's like, you know what? Why are you so nice all the time? Like everyone loves you and you're so nice. And like, how does that happen? I said, I don't know. It just is. Some of us are just a little different. So she calls me and she says, I did something nice today. And I said, what did you do? And she said, I paid for the coffee behind for somebody at the Tim Hortons lineup. And I said, what makes it even more special is when you don't tell anybody. That's what that's about, right?
Yes.
It's not about yourself. It's not about the glory. It's just about putting your mind to something and wanting to make a difference. And there is no glory in this. There is no, pats on the back every day. There are days here that are like, somebody asked me, how do you deal with the grief of losing somebody? And it's that windshield in my van. I just go sit in my van and have a good cry, and then I come back and I get back to work. But, there are really good days here. And there are really tough days here. There are days when you've worked your butt off to help somebody, and then they still take their own life. And there's a lot of guilt. There's a lot of fear. But you just need to know that the next person that you help is not going to be that person. You're always going to have those kind of people that those demons are too tough. They can't get through that. So, in a way, it's a learning thing for other people as well here, that when they hear that somebody's done this, it's like, well, why didn't he reach out? It's like, we've been reaching out for 3 years. So there are it's like everything in life. There's good and there's bad. There's uphills and downhills. And we just have to make sure that, even if you do a downhill one day, just pick your socks up and walk back up that hill the next day. So.
And reach out. Right.
Yeah. That's the most important thing is, like I said, we leave that judgment outside along with your pride. So just come in. There's always somebody here to talk to. It may seem like there is no hope, but there always is. Like it's pretty easy.
Yes, absolutely. I agree. So here's the address.
So the address is like Bay 10, 820, 28.
And that's in Calgary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
Bay number 10, 820. Okay. let me correct that.
Now, I know that there's also volunteer opportunities. I know here in Edmonton, some businesses will send a group of
Oh yeah, we
staff
have.
members out to help pack and compile these food hampers that get
Mhm.
delivered every month or every 2 months. I think
Once a month in Edmonton, and then we just do ours whenever somebody calls in. But I'll
Mhm,
just tell you right now, Edmonton's over 200 hampers a month,
per month.
and we're over 100. A little place like Grand Prairie has 45 veterans that they're supporting right now, and Grand
Wow.
Prairie has got about 30.
Mhm.
And it's just constantly growing. And it's hard to believe that there are that many veterans out there that are having such a struggle.
Well, and it's a sign of the times. Once you're on a disability pension, your
Yeah.
disability pension doesn't increase very much,
No,
but the cost of living is skyrocketing.
absolutely. That's so true. And
Hmm.
for a lot of our veterans, they don't even have that disability, but they still served. Where are those supports for them? There aren't any.
Right,
Unless you come here, then we will help you.
right, right.
Look who's visiting.
Hi,
Oh,
Jill.
there's Dave Bona. Hi, Dave.
Yeah.
He was on the show last week.
How was
He's in
it?
Saskatchewan.
Yeah.
He's an advocate for mefloquine awareness, and they just had their rally last weekend in Victoria, BC.
Yeah, I saw that.
So yeah,
Hi, Dave. Good to see you.
wonderful.
Right on.
So
All right.
folks
Well,
can find out about how to volunteer and how to donate and the different
Mhm.
programs with your new website that's going to be launching this week.
Yes. So there's everything in there: how to volunteer, how to access resources. Everything you need was simplified little sheets to fill out where we will be contacted with anything that you need to do.
Oh, Marie, you are just a wonder to me. You're one. It's just amazing. Like I say, you're like the Mother Teresa of Canada in my eyes.
Oh, thanks, Jill.
Mm.
Marie, it's been such a pleasure to have met you. And
Me too.
thank you, Jill, for connecting us.
Yes, for sure.
And
Next time when we go to Calgary, Dr. Laurie, we'll have to have a tour and go visit.
I'd love it. I would love it.
Yes.
And I'm going to
also,
investigate the purple poppy crochet time for
Mhm.
Laurie.
yes, I'll
That
get
would
that.
be my
We'll,
that would be my my therapy.
yes, that's a good one. So I will send you the pattern and I'll get you the
Yeah.
information and stuff. And you're always welcome here, or even go to the Edmonton office and check them out too.
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, that's Sylvia Somerville from Niagara Falls, one of our colleagues. She's an author, and she writes children's books. And her dad was in the service too. He was in special ops during World War II, and by the time he was 45, had passed away from shrapnel that they weren't able to remove. And my dad was a World War II veteran, and of course, he came home with all of his issues. And I did a show about a year ago now. I must redo one. Jill, we could do this some Thursday. We picked people in my age group. I'm 75, so we're now the senior children of World War II vets, and we had a bunch of old girls on, and we were talking about being brought up by someone who had come home from war, and it impacted our childhood. It impacted our life,
Mhm.
and I was really proud of my dad. Over to you, Marie.
And it's absolutely true. And that's another thing we really focus on here is the wives and families of
Oh,
Yes.
we call them the survivors. And like Dave, one of our workers here, he said, you know what? They didn't put on the uniform, but they made sure our kids went to school. They were fed. They went to meetings. They did everything while we were gone.
yes,
And then we would come home and try to parent, and we couldn't parent because we didn't know how.
that's right.
So for those kids that go through that, or for the wives that go through things, or the wives that don't understand what they're going through, we run a lot of workshops for that. We try to encourage them to come in and volunteer and give them that one day of like, oh my God, I don't have to worry about the kids and all the other stuff. So it is so, so important that this is not just about the veteran. This is about everybody involved. So
Right.
like for me, my dad is 94 and he still has shrapnel in his body. It's starting to loosen up and go into his lungs. But I've been through that trauma. I've been through the bedwetting. I've been through the night terrors. I've been through the alcoholism. I've been through all of it.
Yeah.
Not being able to help was the toughest thing that I've ever
Yeah.
had to go through. So My
Yeah.
dad came here one time and he said, if they had a place like this when I got out of the military, he said, maybe I wouldn't have been such a failure. Maybe I wouldn't have been.
Exactly.
So if we can prevent that from happening for other people, that is absolutely a simple, simple part of our mission. That's easy enough to do, right? Just let them
Yes.
through that door.
Yeah. Well, I know when my dad got home, he spent 3 months in Camp Hill in Halifax, the mental part, the mental health care part, but that was it. There was no transitioning or anything like that, so
My
yeah.
dad ended up going to Victoria where they actually used those veterans as guinea pigs for new foods because they didn't think they'd survive. So my dad, when he got out 3 years later, he sees this stuff called margarine. He's like, we already had that in there. And he said, the worst thing was the instant coffee. He said, it just burnt your throat so bad. So he's never drank instant coffee another day in his life. But, you think back to how veterans have been treated over the course of time. They haven't
Yeah.
been well respected. And that is absolutely our mission, that every single person that served, I don't care if you served for a day, you signed on that dotted line. That's more than I've ever had the courage to do.
Yeah, same
I
here.
will make sure that you will get everything you need.
Right.
It's pretty simple.
Well, Marie, it's just been such an honor. And Jill, thank you very much for being the vehicle here on our Special Communities show every Thursday. We feature somebody really powerful, and it's just been amazing. So, Marie, just again, in gratitude to you and everything that you do and the reasons you're doing it. Just like all of us, there's reasons we want to do this too, because I feel that what I'm able to provide is a platform,
Yes.
and where veterans could come and actually share a story, share their recovery, share their challenges, whatever. So our platform is open for that. So if you have veterans in your organization who might rather enjoy being on a show, then we're here to do that. That's my whole purpose, is to give,
Well, maybe
because this goes
close-
out. This
Yeah.
goes out. We're on about 15 different platforms, and 2 shows a week get sent to the States, to your home TV. We have quite a large distributorship of the show. So we'll make sure. What I'll do is get Jill to give me your email, and I'll email you your own personal copy of the show if that's something you would like to have.
Sure.
Okay.
Like closer to Remembrance Day, I can get some veterans together to talk about the importance of remembrance and their time.
Oh,
off.
yeah.
Sure.
And we can have more than one person on here, we can have
a panel for sure.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Hey. Well,
All
big
right.
both.
Well, I'm sorry.
I said big hugs to you both, and I'll talk to you soon, Miss Jill.
Love you, Marie. Thank you so much.
Oh,
You're
yeah.
so welcome.
Thank you so much.
Nice meeting you, Dr. Laurie.
Yeah. Nice meeting you too.
Thank you.
Wow, listen to how big.